How's it, guys? This is Dayvy. Okay, guys, just let me know if it's back. It just crashed again. I do apologize. I don't know what it is with me and like streaming recently, but this is like so annoying. It should be back now though, but just confirm in chat if it's fine. I don't know why it crashed twice. This is like the first time that it's ever crashed on me while I'm streaming, so I do apologize for that. So we are back. Okay, thank you. So how's it, guys? This is Dayvy FPL and welcome back to the Deadline with Dayvy livestream. This livestream is going to be about Game Week 8. Obviously have activated the Wildcard chip. We haven't done a Deadline stream in actually quite a long time, so hopefully you guys have had a safe and enjoyable international break. Taking a little bit of a break from FPL. I know on my kind of Wildcard, I wasn't as proactive on those price rises as possible, but fortunately the player that I was maybe going to bring in, Heung-min Son, apparently he might be out now after testing positive. So please keep that in your guys' plans. It hasn't been kind of official news, but what usually happens with the clubs is they don't come out and say that the player's out because of a positive test. It's a little bit of secrecy that they usually have. So I don't think we're going to get any kind of official news about Heung-min Son from the Spurs officials or the Spurs journalists. All we know is that 2 players from Tottenham Hotspurs did test positive after returning back from international break, and there have been strong rumors that it's going to be, I think, Brian Gill. I think you pronounced that he is Spanish, so I do apologize if I am mispronouncing that surname, but then also Heung-min Son. So if you guys do own Son, that's going to be quite a little bit of an annoyance there on a wild card. You might have had to change your plans up quite a bit. I know initially we did have Heung-min Son, but as the kind of week gravitated on, I kind of went away from him, and I've gone for more of a big at the back draft. So first off, on screen here, this is not my final team. Please, I did post this on Twitter last night just because I wanted to show you guys the price rises. I was flooded with comments about why no Trent, what happened to this player. So please, that was just kind of a price rise tweet. Players like Raul Jimenez, Asaka, all these players did rise in price last night. But to be honest, I don't really know what I'm going to be doing with them. I might not even keep them, to be honest. So as I said, I do apologize for the start of the stream being a little bit all over the place, but we're here now, so let's get into the questions. I also was a little bit late because I couldn't find the Mo Salah shirt. For some reason, it was at the bottom of my closet, but you don't worry, we've got it on. King Mo, hopefully going to get a hattie today against Watford. He definitely will be my captain, so on kind of the wild card, although we haven't decided finally on the team, the number one thing that's certain is Mo Salah is going to be my captain, and that's going to be kind of the end of it. So getting on to the questions now. Before we get on to it's going to be the Mo Salah shirt versus the early kickoff. Who do you guys have? Which side are you going to be on? In the left-hand corner, we've got the Mo Salah shirt. The right-hand corner, the superstitious early kickoff. Who are you guys backing? I think that I'm going to kind of be going for Mo Salah, definitely. I'm not going to overthink it. Also because the other options, besides maybe a Man City, I don't think there's too many other options to actually go for. So I'm not going to overthink it. Going with Mo Salah, but you guys can tell me in the comments down below or comments in the chat if you're going for someone different. So Zaid saying I messed up on my wild card and I only have 9 million in the bank. So don't worry, Zaid, there will be some alternatives. If I do make my final team, I'll give you guys some alternatives that you guys can consider. And the way FPL's been going currently, the cheaper options will outperform the more expensive options anyway. So you might even be in luck here. Karen saying, said 2 players have yeah, his word is gold. So exactly. So as Karen said, that there's 2 players, but they haven't officially been named. And I don't think we're going to get anything about that. Liam says if Mo fails, it'll be 3 early consecutive captain fails. And the worst thing, Liam, is that look who kicks off next game week 9. It's Chelsea versus Norwich, which I'm pretty sure a lot of us will be captaining Lukaku on. So that's not going to be too great, to be honest, if Mo does blank. I'm not too kind of superstitious on that whole thing. I won't lie, last week I was, considering Ronaldo was benched, but there was a little bit of speculation about that before the actual game we kicked off. Vincent saying, you are live, I am live. Fortunately, now it's on purpose, not like the other week. What's the news on Jota? There are rumors he won't start. So, to me, he's fit, but I think if Klopp's going to play a 3 midfield, which he sometimes does, or if he's going to play Firmino at cam, the only way Jota starts, in my opinion, is if Klopp opts for playing Firmino as a cam and Jota up front. Or maybe if Salah, Mane, they're injured or something like that. But I think if he goes with a 3 in midfield, which most journalists are predicting, they're kind of thinking Henderson, Milner, and then also Keita, then I don't think Jota will start. I think Firmino will definitely play just because he's been rested. And I think Firmino is kind of getting it back into the number one spot there on earth. I think Jota had it at the start of the season, but after Jota's a little bit of a poor run of form over the past couple of games, I think that it's going to be Firmino's to lose. And also, I mean, Jota's played in the international break, whereas Firmino has had the full practice or the full international break kind of practicing. So he's saying Foden or Mount, so that's going to be a tough one to go by. I was thinking about Mount. I was looking at him on my wildcard draft, but I just looked at his kind of playing time, and I do understand that he's probably going to be favoured under Tuchel, but over the past couple of games, I just don't know what's happened with him. I know that he might have had an injury, but in terms of if I was to choose one of them and I could afford Foden, I probably would go for Foden, to be honest, just because I think the City fixtures are worth it, and I think in terms of kind of the highest ceiling of scoring ability, I think that Man City are more likely to score more goals over the next 3 than Chelsea would. If you guys know what I'm kind of saying, Chelsea, for example, if I said one team won 5-0 this upcoming game week, you wouldn't think it's Chelsea. You'd be like, oh yeah, Man City, because they have scored 4 or 5 goals on regular occasions. Jason's saying, any news on Bamford? So Bamford won't play this week. I think that he might be back for next week, but if you're on a wild card, if you can keep him and maybe play someone off your bench, then you can do that. Leeds' fixtures look quite strong, but otherwise, I wouldn't be bringing Bamford in and I wouldn't be starting him. What's the latest wildcard draft? So Dipta, I'll get onto the 2 drafts currently that I've set up. What I'm kind of banking on is us getting some early team news, because if Jota does start, I might be tempted to go with him. Paddy Baller says, why no Armstrong? So Armstrong's in my current draft, but this is just the Price Rise team. Sorry, I got distracted by the questions, so I'll get to the drafts now. Who's on your bench? Can't see. So Rope doesn't really matter because this team is just going to be kind of a Price Rise team. But let me get onto the talking points about the 2 drafts that I currently have. So as I mentioned, I'm kind of hoping that we get early team news, because if Jota starts, I probably will go for him. And this is the draft that I currently am on. In terms of the bank, I've got 0-2 in the bank, which I don't really like because I would have preferred Azpilicueta over James. I could also go for Chilwell. It's just kind of it's a real 50-50 for me between Chilwell and James. So that's why I'm a little bit up in the air about who to go from that point of view. But I would have really liked Azpilicueta because he's more nailed. And sometimes he does feature at that right wing back. But if Jota starts, I think this draft is quite comfortable. As you guys probably saw from the thumbnail, I won't be having Rafinha this week. I don't think he's going to play today. I'm going to go for Trossard as a 1-week punt. So I'm going to go for Trossard. Then next week, I'll probably bring Rafinha back into the lineup prior to game week 9. So I know on a wildcard, don't really want to plan your transfers, but I think that this could be worth it at the end of the day, because Brighton are taking on Norwich, and I am expecting them to do quite well there. So this is the current setup, but obviously I just want to have Rafinha here to show you guys that I can afford him next game week. So this is the draft if Jota starts, and the draft if Jota doesn't start or we get no early team news, it's going to be the big at the back 5. I think this is going to be quite controversial. It's probably going to be a lot of you in the comments asking me what I'm doing. Also wanted to say I had my second jab yesterday, so that's why I might be a little bit under the weather. I'm feeling it at the moment, but that hasn't affected my mental state, don't worry. I am still very secure there, so that's why I still am favoring this back 5. I mean, I made this draft about a week ago, and I haven't kind of diverted from it. The only thing is, with Rudiger out, I've gone for Reece James. I could go for Chilwell, have enough in the bank, but I just think I'd rather go for James at that right wing back position, because I don't think there's that much rotation between him and other options. I mean, you could have a Hudson-Odoi, but I mean, on that left-hand side, Alonso's Chilwell, I think those two will probably rotate quite easily. Whereas with Reece James, if he plays, he probably is going to score, even if he might come off the bench. I mean, and the big at the back, so let me just put out like this comment. So the reason why I've gone for big at the back, or why I like big at the back, is there's honestly no midfielders that I really want. Heung-min Son was probably the only midfielder that I really liked, but he obviously is rumored to have tested positive. I don't want a Man City midfielder because of rotation. A Mason Mount, I'm a little bit up in there about him. And other options, I mean, besides Salah and Rafinha, there's not many other midfielders that I like. I mean, I like Mbumo, but I mean, from game week 10 onwards, and he's so cheap that I can just bench him. Townsend's also quite cheap, I can just bench him. And that's why I wanted to have two more mid-range options in midfield, because if one of these players does get benched, I hope they don't come on, then I can get Townsend or Mbumo off the bench, or maybe even a Douglas Luiz. In terms of my striking department, I'm pretty nailed on this. I really do like Adam Armstrong from Southampton. I think the fixtures look good. Stats aren't the best in the world, but I think on like a kind of punt, I think it's worth it. Antonio, the stats are great. I mean, his FPL points over the past couple haven't been as strong as the start of the season, but I just think he's just such a good FPL option when he is fit. And as long as he stays injury-free, he's probably going to remain in my team. And if West Ham don't kind of pick up the form, they don't look that strong, I can just simply take him to Tony game week 10, no problem there. Then obviously Lukaku is an essential play in my opinion, just because you do want some Chelsea coverage. And I mean, Lukaku is the most nailed option probably in that to Chelsea lineup. So I know there might be a little bit, the one thing I will say is it's going to give me a lot of benching headaches in the upcoming game weeks. But I just think Chelsea, Man City defense are looking solid, and I can afford this draft with a big at the back, so I don't really mind it. And as I said, no kind of midfielders that I really like, but I'm pretty sure you guys will pop some in chat and roast me a bit about it. Okay, so sorry. Oladapo says Foden and McCarthy or Grealish and Ramsdale. Does McCarthy even play? Let me check that for you. I don't even know if McCarthy plays. Yeah, I should probably just type it in. Oh, flip, yeah, sorry. For some reason, I thought you were talking about Angus Gunn. Yeah, McCarthy doesn't look like a bad option, but I just think I prefer I prefer Sanchez or Ramsdale. So you're saying Foden and McCarthy or Grealish and Ramsdale. I prefer Foden over Grealish, but I prefer Ramsdale over McCarthy. If you have Livramento, then I would go for the Ramsdale option, but if you don't, then I would just go McCarthy. With your big at the back, how much left in the bank? 0.5 in the bank. Yeah, so you guys should be able to, most of you should be able to afford it. Gun, pew pew pew, says Basman. Adam saying, which pairing is better, White and Foden or Diaz and Saka? White and Foden. I would go with Diaz and Saka just because I think Diaz starts basically every game. Mahrez differentials at Edwin 100%. I think Mahrez this week is good, but I just think that it's going to be kind of a 1 week punt that you're going to have to take on him, because I think he's nailed for Burnley, but in the other upcoming games, maybe not. But the way I see it is that Champions League comes up midweek, so maybe Mahrez gets benched then, and then he starts next week as well. So I guess you could get game week 8 and 9 out of it, which I guess is best place scenario. Ethan says, bring in Diaz or Aspi. Already got one from each team. I would prefer Diaz over Aspi, Ethan. I just think that Man City, just because Rudiger's out for maybe 1 or 2 game weeks, I think that Man City have a higher chance. Bring Foden or Grealish in for a -4 for Greenwood. I would go, I think Grealish has a better chance of starting game week 8, but I think Foden's the better long-term pick. Marcus says, don't fall for the Townsend trick. So the thing with with the Everton assets that I saw is, for me, it was between Townsend and Doucouré. Damari Gray is also pretty good, but I just think it was between these two for me. And if you look at Townsend's minutes, he's played 519 minutes, whereas Doucouré's played about 100 more, and they have the same points. So I think that Townsend is on good form, so that's why I want to jump on him. And I mean, if he doesn't perform, it's perfectly fine. I mean, he's 5.5 at the end of the day. Why haven't you picked Hwang in place of Armstrong? So the thing with Hwang that I'm worried about is that he's going to play the next 2 or 3, and then if he drops in form, then they might struggle a bit. So then I think he might get benched. I just think that Wolves have so many options in that forward department. With Podence in now, I know that the other Portuguese winger has tested positive as well, so he's not going to be playing. I just think there might be some rotation in and around that kind of bracket. And although he's on strong form now, I just think that maybe for the upcoming games, I'd rather have an secured option in Armstrong. Play to this game week, Livramento, Sarr, Rafinha, or Douglas Luiz. So in your situation, I would play Livramento and Rafinha, and then just put Sarr first on your bench with Douglas Luiz second. Because if Rafinha doesn't start, I don't think he'll play. That's my kind of thinking. Are you really going to keep Antonio, though, tough fixtures. So Todd, they are tough fixtures, but I just think on paper, they might be tough, but when you look at the fixtures, I don't think they're that bad, to be honest. Okay, so Everton away. Everton, sometimes a little bit hit or miss. Spurs can't really defend at the moment. Aston Villa, also a little bit of a hit or miss team. Then they have Liverpool, which I agree is a tough fixture. Then they have Wolves, Man City. I understand what you're saying there. I just think that sometimes you'll find with Antonio is that he'll play better against the stronger teams because then they can counter-attack. And I think that that's where Antonio is the strongest, is on the counter-attack. And that's why I still think that I might still go for him. Just a little bit of coverage, still quite highly owned. So I might be playing a little bit safe on that front. Sanchez or Ramsdale? So Christian, good question. Something that I was kind of contemplating myself. The way I see it, and this is how I play FPL, I don't want to make a goalkeeper transfer. So I'm not looking at the short term. That's what I think most managers who pick Ramsdale are looking at, because in game week 9 and 10, Brighton go to City and Liverpool, or whatever, home or away, they just play those two teams. So I think that's why they're like a little bit scared of owning Sanchez. But I just think I'm going to own Sanchez probably till about game week 30, when I'm considering the second wild card. So I think that I would rather go for longevity here, and I think Sanchez is a better keeper over the entire season than Ramsdale is, and that's just my opinion. Twisted says my team effing sucks. I have Jota, Rafinha, Rudiger, and Traore. So I can understand the Traore pick. I mean, absolute machine there with the FPL points. I actually think that Traore might play this week because of the injury to, or the positive test of the other Wolves asset. I mean, that'll be so poetic. Our wildcard, take Traore out, and then he bangs. But I can't even be hating then. I already popped the wildcard in game week 4. I have one free transfer. What to do? How many hits are okay? So Jota, Twisted, I would wait for early team news. If he starts, you're 100% fine there. Rafinha, unfortunately, that's a keep as well. Traore is probably the one that I would consider taking out. And Rudiger, the tough thing about Rudiger is that we don't know how long he's going to be out for, which is really annoying, because if he's going to be out for a long amount of time, then definitely I might have switched him out. But because we don't know, I think you kind of have to keep him if you don't have a wild card. I think Traore is probably the one that you take out on paper. Unless Jota is missing. That's what I would probably do. I would wait and see what happens with Jota. And Twister, just let me know how much you have in the bank, because if you can move to Grealish or Foden, that's what I would probably do, or you can go for Mason Mount. So just wait. Maybe we get some early team news. Maybe we don't. We'll see. Rafa and Reza says Mahrez captain. Really do like that move. I always love it when people go a little bit maverick. And I think Mahrez captain, De Bruyne captain. I mean, what a game week to kind of go differential. Liverpool playing the early kickoff, not superstitious, but I mean, Burnley, got to be expecting goals against them for City. What will your starting team be with this wildcard? It will be a 5-2-3. Instead of Rafinha, I'd have Trossard, so it would be Trossard and Salah in mid, and then the front three up front. So I'd bench him, Bumo, Townsend, and Douglas Luiz, which I'm perfectly fine with. Do you think James will play? I do think James will play. Deep Kothari says, 800 watching and only 80 likes. So I'm just going to give you guys that information. I'm not going to tell you what to do on that because I don't want to force you, but I'm just going to let you know about that stat. Hwang or Armstrong? I prefer Armstrong. I know that his stats don't look great, and the fixtures are kind of the only thing that looks good for him, and that's why I think that I'm kind of just taking a little bit of a punt on him. With the Wolves fixtures, although they look fine on paper, they're also a little bit hit or miss, I feel. So that's why. But I mean, Hwang, Armstrong, I don't think there's too much between them. I just think that I want to take a punt on Armstrong. 7.7 left for a striker. Thoughts? I'd probably go with Raul Jimenez in that case. I think that if you can afford Raul Jimenez, go for him over Hwang, definitely, because he's just on pens and he's more nailed. What do you think about Morpay? So if I'm going for Trossard as a 1 week punt, you guys can go for Morpay as well. I mean, it's the same thing on that situation. I really do like him as a 1 week punt because I think that Brighton should do well against Norwich. So that's why I think either of those two are good options. And as with Morpay, you can always just take him to someone like a Tony. I went blank there for some reason. But yeah, you can just take him to a Tony in game week 10. So it's not too much of a risk there, to be honest. Can you suggest any midfielder player costing 5 million? So actually, I think that 5 million point it's like a depth. It's like a black hole. There's like no one that is a good option at 5 million. I would probably just go 4.5 and take what's his name? You can go with Douglas Luiz. There's also the other option from Norwich. I think his name's Norman. You can go for either of those two. I probably would just do that. I should hope that you're not playing a midfield at 5 million. Imagine playing 5-2-3 in real life. So, I mean, some teams I think sometimes do. It's just maybe they don't call it that. Captaining Cancelo, anyone. So Jason, I don't want to kind of put a little bit of caution on your mind, but apparently there might be rumors that Cancelo gets benched, but that's like a weird one. But don't act on that. Like, don't act, because that hasn't been a confirmed rumor at all. I just saw some people throwing it around. How much you have in the bank at the moment? So at the moment, I think I had 9.6 on that draft I posted on Twitter, but in this current draft, I have 0.5. Start Duffy or Livramento. I would go with Duffy, stay close. Do you think Alonso starts over Chilwell? It depends on who's kind of first choice, because they play Malmo in the Champions League, which I think they should comfortably win. Apologies if you are a Malmo fan, but I think that one of them will play one and one of them will play the other. So it depends if Alonso or Chilwell's the first choice today, because I think the first choice player will definitely feature today. Nacho, will he start? I'm not the most caught up on Leicester, but as far as I know, he had a pretty good game in game week 7, so I should hope that he probably does. Osama saying, hope you are fine. I'm doing fine, thanks, and yourself. Rudiger out and Laporte in. Your thoughts, please. So, Osama, it depends who you have on the bench, or if you're on a wild card. If you're on a wild card, I can understand not having Rudiger, but if you kind of not on a wild card and you have someone on your bench that can just feature, I would probably just play them, because Rudiger, we don't know how long he's going to be out for. Will Collinson, I have one free transfer, Rudiger to Tier A or Saar to ? Was thinking City assets. Well, I would probably do the Trent move, just because, as I've mentioned, in that midfield department, there's not many midfielders that I currently am favouring. And the fact is that you can take a punt on a Foden or a Grealish, but they might not play, and that's not a risk that I'm willing to take. So that's why if you're on a free transfer, I would rather go for the should option, and Trent will definitely probably start. Chris Faz says, best 5 million midfielder, thinking Henderson for my bench, as should start. So he should start, but Chris, I would just go for a 4.5 then. If he's going to be on your bench anyway, just save the money. I already used Sanchez at goal. Who to bench, Livramento or Duffy? Okay, so I would bench Livramento. I think that Duffy, I think I would play Duffy. I mean, if I look at Norwich versus Leeds' attack is so much better than Norwich's. Now watch the opposite happen, and kind of Norwich scored like 3 goals and Leeds scored none, but I would definitely play my Brighton assets over my Southampton defenders. Will Azpilicueta start, says Michael van Staden. I think that Azpi is probably the most secured option for this upcoming week, and the reason for that is that Thiago Silva is not going to play, and then also Rudiger's out. So in terms of the centre backs, it's going to be Christensen, Rudiger, and then maybe Chalobah. That's like the current consensus on that. So I think that Azpi is definitely going to play. Aiden Lewis says, hey Dayvy, just join. It's your final wildcard team. So not final, but I'm pretty comfortable with this draft. That's all. That's like, I'm going to wait for early team news on that, but I think that I'm pretty set on this. The only thing is Rafinha will make way for Trossard. Leeds don't have Bamford and Rafinha the game week, so I understand that, but I do still think they've got some options in and around there that can cause Southampton some problems. But if you're comfortable with Southampton, you can go for it. I mean, if you don't want to double up, if you have Sanchez in goal already, that's 100% fine. But it's just quite hard to kind of predict the clean sheet out of those two, as I think those two games should probably be quite close. Both Chilwell and Alonso start, I think. So are you saying that Chilwell will start at the left centre back, or are you saying that Alonso will start at the right wing back, or vice versa? Yamani with the donation, no kind of message there. Do apologize if you meant to add a message. Drop it in chat, and hopefully I'll try and get to it, or hopefully I'll see it. Message retracted, says Yamani. Do apologize for that. Ivan saying, how much in the bank? So 0.5 is in my bank currently. Is it confirmed that Son's out, says Julian? So it's not confirmed, Julian, that he's out, but there's been heavy rumors. And usually when there are heavy rumors, it's usually quite true. I don't want to kind of put 100% certainty on it, but I would probably say I'm about 90% sure. How many points do you have now? So in terms of points now, let me go check. 459 and 260. So definitely not the best ranking, but hopefully the wildcard can boost us up. Hadi saying, Dayvy, please. So Hadi, I don't know where you dropped your question. So this is always the thing when people say, like, you'd never read my comments, but like I literally read that comment. Come on, Dayvy, you must have some spice in the midfield. That is true, but like I don't know what options there are in midfield that I really want. I don't want a Man City option. Mason Mount is a little bit up in the air for me. So what about the other options? Will Jota start? Hopefully we get early team news, but I think that my prediction is that he won't, unless Klopp plays Firmino as a cam. I think that's the only kind of reason that goes for. Morris captain too crazy. GW8, it's not crazy, it's differential. And I can understand why you want to go for it. Do you think Obama Blood Clot Yang is a good option? I think at the price point he's not, but I think the Arsenal other options are better. I think a Smith Rowe and a Saka, I'm perfectly fine going with those two assets because they come in a lot cheaper. Foden thoughts. I like Foden, but you got to be patient with him. I think you got to understand that he might not play every single minute. But when he does, he usually does bang. Is Reece James really back right now? So he's been training, and I think with the defensive vulnerabilities that they do have, I think that James should hopefully play. But between James and Chilwell, there might be some rotation there. Antonio versus Armstrong on current fixtures. So your money, thank you for the super chat firstly, and I'm glad that I saw your comment. In terms of those two, I think that it's a no-brainer there. If you can afford Antonio, I would go for him. I don't think we can compare Antonio to Armstrong just because Antonio is such a good option, whereas Armstrong is a little bit unproven. So that's why Armstrong for me is a little bit of a punt, the same way I think a Huang is a punt. Will you get rid of Antonio for a better midfielder? If I wanted a better midfielder, then maybe. But there's not really one here. So you see, Ahmed, you never read my comments, and I saw it. TAA and Raul Jimenez, I would go for Trent, and I'd go for Raul Jimenez. What about Alonso? So between Shaw and Alonso, I personally favor Shaw because he's cheaper, but between those two, it's really tough to kind of predict who plays. Apparently, what happened is that Alonso had a relatively good game for Spain, I think. Thank you, Julian. I appreciate the kind words. Why no Raul Jimenez? The Wolves fixtures for me don't look as strong. And I think I might have missed the boat a little bit with Jimenez. Who's going on your bench? Mbeumo, Townsend, and Douglas Luiz. Best 5.5 striker. Yo, that's a tough one. I don't even know I can't even name a 5.5 striker. I would go for Huang if you can afford him. He is 5.6, but that's probably the team I would go for. So as I mentioned, this is the team if Jota starts. I think this is probably what I'll go for. But if Jota doesn't start as predicted, I think this is probably the team I'll go for. I know it's a little bit crazy. Don't copy this team, guys. It's terrible. Clyde says wildcard locked in. So Clyde, are you talking about your wildcard or are you talking about my one? How are you planning to bring in Son, says Phoenix. I'm not planning to bring in Son at the current moment, but I can understand what you're saying because I think game week 12, the Spurs fixtures look quite strong. Probably what I would do is I might downgrade Antonio, upgrade one of my midfielders, or maybe I'll just get some budget from the defense. That's probably going to be the easiest way to do it. Saka at 6.4 versus Mbeumo at 5.5. So Jonathan, it's tough because they're at a different price point, if you know what I'm saying. So if you can afford both of them, I would go with Saka, obviously. But if you can't, I would go with Mbeumo as long as you can bench him for the next two. Do you think it's better to transfer out Rudiger or Alonso? Ethan, this is how you got to see it. I know that Rudiger is cheaper, but Alonso has a chance of starting this week. So you never want to take a player out that has a potential of starting. Whereas with Rudiger, he's confirmed out. So I would take out him. Carlos GG saying apparently Jota is benched. So I'll go on Twitter in about 5 minutes time, quarter two, and I'll check it for you guys to make sure that we have as much team news as possible. Gary Cooper saying I'm 0.1 out for Armstrong. Is Huang the next big thing? 100% Gary. That's a perfectly fine move to kind of do. I think between these two, not too much. I'm just going for Armstrong because I'm a fixture FPL manager. When we're locking in, I think Rope, if we do get early team news, then I might, but probably about 10 minutes before the deadline. I just want to know if Jota's starting or not because that will depend on what punt I take. Dayvy, why Armstrong? Fixtures. That's literally the only reason. I know it's a very weird pick because this lad has not done anything in the Prem at the moment, but in terms of stats, in terms of the fixtures, they look quite strong. And the way I see it is that I would rather have Armstrong now and take him to Tony if things don't look great than maybe looking at him again. Let me actually just look here. This is kind of the planning I was doing on Fix. So in terms of the stats, we have 2 shots, 1 shot on target. 3 shots, 1 shot on target, 3 attempted assists. 4 shots. I mean, the stats aren't shocking. I mean, West Ham are tough. Man U are slightly tough. And Chelsea are tough. So the fixtures haven't been that great. And he's still got shots off. I mean, that might be a little bit rich saying. I mean, he is a professional footballer, earning a lot of money. You would hope that he gets a shot every once in a while. But, yeah. Mohamed, Dayvy, why are you putting Rafinha? Is he playing? Mohamed, I'm not putting Rafinha in my team. I'm going to put Trossard in my team. I just want to show you guys my plans because next week I probably will bring Rafinha in. So I just want to show you guys that I have enough money to afford Rafinha next game week. Is Rafinha starting? I don't think so. I don't see how Man City, Chelsea, Liverpool all have come out and said that their players aren't even featuring and then Leeds play Rafinha. I don't know. It's a little bit weird. Gray or Greenwood? I would go for Gray. I mean, I'm so over Man United at the current moment. I'm happy that I don't have any of them in my team, but watch them bang now over this tough run. Saka for Trossard for a 1-week punt? No, I would keep Saka. They still have Crystal Palace, which is a fine fixture. I have KDB and Salah. Who should I captain? City historically great. So let's all. That's such a tough decision. Like, I want to say KDB so badly, but I can't advise against Salah, to be honest. That has to come from you. So if you want to be differential and Maverick, I would perfectly back it, as I think that KDB is a great option to go for. But I just think it's too much of a risk with the high ownership of Salah, I think. But like that's why it has to be on you. I don't want to go. I don't want to take responsibility for that one. Alonso or Duffy? Play Alonso and just hope that he starts. Start Rafinha or Manquillo? Who do not? Newcastle play Spurs. I would probably just play Rafinha then. I think if Rafinha doesn't start, I don't see him coming on. I don't know why they would do that. It's a little bit weird for me. Kane for a 1-week punt. Lukaku in next. I guess I can understand that, but what I would say is that if you're not going to captain Kane, then don't do that. Should I put Foden into start? So if you have him on your team, play him, obviously. But if you like, it's a very weird situation with Man City right now because I think that Grealish and Mahrez look to start. Grealish might drop out. It just depends who they play at that false 9. If they play Gundogan there, then, I mean, obviously Foden will be benched. But if maybe Grealish drops to midfielder role, we can have Foden up front on the left wing. It's just so hard to predict the Man City lineup. And that's why I've been completely put off on them, to be honest. That's probably the reason. That's why I think with Cancelo and Diaz, they should start most games. And that's why I'd rather go for them as a should options. Foden and Hwang or Gundogan and Armstrong? Foden and Hwang. I don't think Gundogan right now for me. I think he might play against Burnley because he was on the what you call it, like the match program. But I don't know. I don't think he's going to replicate last season's numbers. Aspie or James? 100% Aspie. Son captain, oil money injection, and spy Newcastle win. So Ewok edits, Son is apparently tested positive for COVID. So don't bring him in or captain him because I don't think he's going to play. Jimenez or Armstrong? Caroline, Raul Jimenez, 100%. It's a little bit of an unfair debate, I guess, because one's a little bit more expensive than the other, but that's what I would go for. Kieran, has he wildcarded this week? He has wildcarded this week. Paddy Baller saying check Twitter. Okay, so I'll check Twitter in 2 minutes. Thank you, Paddy Baller. What would your wild card for 3 or 4 at the back? So what I would do, Nikhil, is I would have Trent, Azpilicueta, and Cancelo if you want to go back 3. But all I would do is I would take James out, and this would be my back 4. That's what I would try and do, because I think that this looks like a strong back 4, to be honest. And also with Man City, they seem to have less rotation than Chelsea do. I guess from a defensive point of view, there hasn't been that much rotation, but we'll see. Is this your final wildcard draft? So currently I'm going to check Twitter in 1 minute time and just see if Jota's playing. If Jota's playing, I might take a punt on him rather. I'm late, but is Rafinha going to play? My expectation is I don't think he will. Now, am I a journalist or a sensational team news a merchant? No, I'm not. I'm just a predictor. And my prediction is that I don't think he will. Should we copy this team? You could copy it if you want, but that's your own discretion. I told you, this draft is a little bit weird. And at least I can blame maybe my mental state not being great because of the second jab. Gary's saying it will be a good weekend. Thanks a lot, Gary. I appreciate the super chat there. Thank you. Hopefully your weekend is also a good one. And hopefully the green arrows are flowing for Game Week 8. Liam Taylor saying FPL Master hardly. What's FPL Expert? So I prefer to... No, I'm joking. I'm not going to say that. already play my wild card. Which of these three would you rate as the highest priority to bring in? Aiden Lewis, you like pasted half the comment. Tom, any chance of you captaining a defender this weekend? Tom, like maybe if Salah didn't have a great fixture, because I can understand with Lukaku, because Brentford haven't actually been that bad defensively. Like, let's be real, they did concede 3 to Liverpool, but I don't know with that. The Liverpool goals were pretty strong. So I think that if maybe Salah didn't have a good fixture, but because Salah has Watford, that just seems overthinking to me. 15 minutes left. Shall we confirm? So not yet. Let me go check the good old Twitter for you guys. Please apologize. I do apologize for the silence. You've missed a super chat, Nathan. Do apologize, Nathan. Let me check that. Okay, I might have to go here. Let me go check on the view activity. I can't see anything now, so I do apologize if I did miss that super chat. Sorry. I can't. It's not refreshing on my side. So I do apologize. Nathan, if it was you, just post your comment again. It doesn't seem like we have anything, to be honest, guys. Someone's saying Salah benched. If Salah gets benched, that would be mental. Like, let's be honest. I don't see anything as of now. But I will keep you guys updated. But the thing is, like, we can like finalize the wild card, because I mean we can just chop and change. I don't think the budget should be that affected. So I guess the final question is, do you think James or Chilwell's a better option? That's probably like the last remaining question that I have. Crump Dub saying we are out on the lash last night. So no, unfortunately I wasn't. I got jabbed yesterday, so I was feeling a little bit weird. Okay. While you keep Antonio, Ryan. So Ryan, thank you for shouting at me. But in terms of Antonio, I think that he's a good option in terms of the stats. And I think that he could find some good attacking threat from the counterattacks against these stronger teams. Bench points FC, that is. Thank you, Nathan. Thank you for dropping by. Aren't you doing a deadline stream? Or you just come to laugh at my current draft? Thanks for dropping by, Nathan, buddy. I appreciate it. Who are you benching? I'm benching Mbumo, Townsend, and Douglas Luiz. And the reason for that is because I need a strong bench, because these lads at the back might not even play, and then I just hope they don't come off. Am I crazy for favoring Ronaldo over Lukaku? So Gavin, no, I think this week not. I think maybe next week we can ask some questions about that, because Lukaku is taking on Norwich. But I think this week, if you're not going to captain Lukaku or Ronaldo, I think that Ronaldo could also bang. So I mean, that's perfectly fine. Never captain from the first. So, Mr. Radu, that's not my rule. That's just FPL's rule. But as you can see, I'm playing a 5-2-3. So, I don't play by the FPL rules, apparently. So, I'm still going with Salah. And we got the shirt. We got the Salah shirt. So, I mean, this is a guaranteed hat-trick. Aspilicueta and Smith Rowe, or James and Saka? I would go Aspi and Smith Rowe, to be honest. Is Rafinha going to play? I don't think Rafinha's going to play, to be honest, guys. I know that he could. It just doesn't make sense for me. I got in at 4 a.m, but got to make sure I do my fantasy. Then it's back to sleep. This is Liam. You're probably from the UK, so you're 1 hour behind. So it's gonna be 11 by you. So I guess that's still fine too. But maybe you just got to grind it out and then go to bed super early. And Lewis, I'm asking which players from your wildcard team would you rate? Oh, to bring in first. Okay. I would say Salah, Lukaku. Then I would go for the defenders. That's my priority. Man City defenders over Chelsea defenders this week. And then next week it would be Chelsea defenders over Man City defenders. Alonso to start, I unfortunately can't tell you guys that one. That's a little bit rough. I have 7.7 million to spend. Who should I get in midfield? I would go with Mason Mount if you have that much money. Okay, wait. So we're going to do Rafinha out and we're going to do Trossard. Trossard. Don't worry, guys. It's only for a 1 week punt. Is this locked in? Yes, this is going to be locked in with 10 minutes to go. Sources say Foden and Mahrez start. So Rafa and Reza, that's a pretty good. If you guys have Foden and you have Mahrez, that's good news for you guys then. Why not Ramsdale? I prefer Sanchez over the long term. I'm not going to make a goalkeeper transfer to my second wild card, which will probably be late on. Jota or Townsend? I would probably go Townsend just because if you're going to get Jota news, I mean, I don't think he's going to play today. Xavier saying Rudiger to Cancelo or Semedo to Laporte. I would go, because I don't know about Rudiger. I don't know about Laporte or Cancelo starting. So I would say go for Cancelo just because that's a better long-term pick. Virgil van Dijk to score. Carlo, I would love that because I just think that he needs to. He's been on bad scoring form recently. Yeah, so I did see Rafa and Reza saying that apparently John Stones is going to play. So that could either be with Diaz or Laporte out. I don't know which one of them is going to be. I'm going to confirm here, guys. Just one thing, please. Just who do you think's better between James and Chilwell? I think James. Hey, I think I got to go with James. Okay, now we do the transfers. Who's going to be vice captain? Let's put it on Trossard for the banter. Okay, so that's the team I've gone for. Thanks, Carlo. Hopefully we do well today. James, yeah, I think James is. Jason's saying Chilwell 100%. The thing is, the only thing I worry about with Chilwell and Alonso is they're going to rotate. With James, I mean, they could play Azpilicueta there, but like, I mean, Azpi can also play centre back. So, I mean, I guess he has less rotation risk with him. And I really like James. I just think when he plays, he does well. Saka got to be a better 1 week punt than Trossard. So, Gary, I think that Crystal Palace are better than Norwich. So that's the only reason I've gone for it. How much do you have in the bank with this team? Okay, let me just go transfers quick. I have 0.7 in the bank. Flip, so I could actually upgrade another department. What midfielders are there that like... What could I get? 6.7. Yeah, 6.7. I mean, there's no one else here that I really favor. Maybe like a forward, but I didn't think so. I don't think I have 0.7, so I guess I'm just gonna have to. I'll use that. That'll be my Son money, my human Son money. Chalobah or Marcel? I don't think you can go with Chalobah, just because I don't think he's nailed. Like he might be nailed for one game week, but I don't think for the future. James is going to be brought off the bench for 1 pointers. Chilwell XGA much higher per 90. Okay, Jason, I can understand that, I guess. I understand what you're saying with James, because I mean, if he does, he can get taken off the bench probably more often. But maybe I just have to hope that he starts the majority of fixtures. Jojo Revenge, it's my super chat you missed. Sorry for that, Jojo Revenge. Best Saar or Rudiger replacement? Only one free transfer, but I don't mind taking a hit. I would take out Rudiger rather. With the attackers, they always have a chance of getting an attacking return, but with Rudiger, there's not. So I would take out Rudiger, and between the options, you might look at another Chelsea replacement, like a Chilwell or a James, but I think right now, probably going to favour James or Chilwell. Zaha replacement. I don't necessarily think that you have to replace him. Isn't Zaha's scoring record against Arsenal super good? Morpay or Hwang? I would probably go, it depends if you want to go long term or short term. If you want to go long term, then go for Hwang, but if you want to go short term, then go for Morpay. Also go for Morpay if you can bench him, because you guys can see if you go for Brighton's fixtures, if you bench them for these two, you can actually play Morpay for these fixtures here, which could be an option that you guys also look at. Alonso won't play. It's not that he won't play. It's just that between him and Chilwell, it might be. Is James nailed to start? I think most kind of predictions have been that he will start. As Isaac's saying, that Hudson-Odoi can play wing back, but I don't think that. Like I tend to think that Brentford are a good side, so Tuchel's not going to put out. I think James is a lot better at right wing back than Hudson-Odoi is. Are you planning to keep Townsend long term? I might not. It just depends what options are around that price point. I think that he's a good option for the next few, but I just worry when Richarlison and DCL come back that he might lose his spot. But I don't know how long those two are going to be out for. While Jota starts. Okay, let me check to it again. I don't see anything about Jota starting, but I mean, he could very well. I couldn't find anything over on Twitter, but maybe there's some other sources. So nothing on Twitter, guys. So I mean, that's gonna. Why did you take Raul Jimenez out? I needed budget to upgrade other departments, and I just think that I still like Armstrong. I think that he could be quite a nice punt for everyone. All the best, everyone. Hope yours. If you score less than mine, I guess that is FPL. We all here saying good luck to everyone, but we hope that they don't get more points than us. Rudiger to Laporte, a good option if I can't get in Diaz. I guess they could be, but Laporte could also be rotated. That's kind of the consensus today, is that Laporte might be benched. Vice captain, I've gone for Trossard as my vice captain. Maybe let me just put it on Lukaku to be safe, but I'm pretty sure Salah will start. Okay, what I can do, guys, I'll do a little bit of quick fire questions for you. Firstly, so while I read out the super chat from Oladapo, you guys can post your questions in and I'll get them to you in 3 minutes time. Keep St. Maximum or buy Armstrong on a wild card. I love Gucci, Oladapo. That's the thing you got to know about me. And I mean, he's playing against a very depleted Spurs side. But on a wild card, I might go for Armstrong just because over the medium term, I think he's slightly better. Will Jota start? Unfortunately, I can't say that. Apparently, he might start. Apparently, he won't. Liam, thank you for the kind words. Ramsdale to Sanchez. I think both those two options are fine to go for. Why James over Townsend? 3 Chelsea players a little risky. I just think James offers some attacking threat as well. So not only does he have defensive ability, but also attacking ability. And Townsend, against that West Ham defense, have been quite defensively assured. Not that great, but I still think I would rather favour the Chelsea clean sheet. Duffy instead of James. Lack of money. 100% fine. Go for that Dream Rider. So Grealish for Foden on a free transfer. I wouldn't do that. Nicer hairstyle. David, I'm getting my haircut literally after this. As I end the stream, I'm going to get a haircut. So unfortunately, we won't do that. Which Man City midfielder should I get? I would go for Foden. But if you can get Morris for a 1 week punt, that's what I would probably do. Thoughts on Foden? I do like him, but you've got to be patient with him. Tony for Armstrong. I wouldn't do that. I would give Armstrong maybe 2 more game weeks, and then you can always bring Tony in game week 10. Livramento or Semedo to play for the first 11. I think Semedo takes on Aston Villa, so he has some attacking threat there, but I think I'd probably go for Semedo just in that situation. Start Tony or Mbeumo. Go for Tony because he's on pens. Tyron saying Saul or Livramento to start. If you have Trent, I would go for Livramento. KDB or Salah for captain. KDB differential, Salah more consistent. Best 8.4 midfielder, I would just go for Foden, Grealish or Mason Mount. Jota starts, says Gary Cooper. Salah really bench, says Reza. There, get yourself a skin fade, my boy Patrick. I'll try put in a request there. Townsend or Smith Rowe. So if people are saying that Salah's benched and stuff, I don't know. Like, I mean, is that... I honestly can't see anything about anyone getting benched. So I don't think there's anyone on that. And now because of that, I've had to not get questions in. Will Alonso start? I don't know. I think between him and Shaw, it's basically confirmed. It's a little bit of a no-brainer there, but I think that he might not. I probably think that Shaw will get this game. Jota bench, says Kylo. So that could be confirmed. I don't know. Kylo usually quite honest, so I should hope. Will Jimenez start? Yes, he will, because he played on Thursday early morning, not Friday early morning. Deadline has unfortunately passed, though, guys. Thank you for joining in this deadline stream. A little bit of a crazy one. It always is. It always is a little bit mental on a wild card, especially this week because of all the COVID tests and the uncertainty of certain players. But I just hope that we can do well. And as I said, as Gary says, if Trossard bangs, I hate you. So hopefully Trossard bangs, and then I'll get a hate comment from Gary in my Twitter DMs. But thank you as always for joining the stream. I always appreciate your guys' time on a Saturday morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you guys are around the world. And hopefully the Green Arrows are in our favor this week. And hopefully this wildcard team at least outperforms our last team. Otherwise, I might be slightly disappointed. But enjoy the rest of your weekend, guys. Hopefully it's a good FPL week, and hopefully it's a good footballing week. And I'll check you guys next week for some more content. I'm signing off. It's been Dayvy FPL, and I'm out. Cheers. Bye.